Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some of the weird pay issues within the airline industry. Not really issues, but more specifically ways that you're paid within the airline industry. We're going to cover min-day pay, duty rig, block or better, cancellation pay, deadhead pay, per diem, and holiday pay. So stick around and we'll see if we can figure this out. All right, so starting off with min-day pay, let's say that today I'm supposed to operate a leg from LaGuardia to DC, and then I'm going to sit for 8 hours, and then I'm going to operate from DC to LaGuardia. It's going to be a pretty long day, but each of those legs is only about an hour long, so now I'm going to get paid only for 2 hours of actual work in the aircraft. However, I'm going to be at work for about 11 hours. That's terrible. Why would I ever want to work for 11 hours to get paid about $100 if your pay rate's $50 an hour? Well, min-day pay, depending on where you're at, will be the minimum amount that the company has to pay you for being at work that day. So if I came to work and I'm only flying 2 hours, I'm still going to get paid 4 hours and 12 minutes at my company. So that 4 hours and 12 minutes translates roughly to about $200, which is a lot better for a 12-hour day if I'm going to spend that on the clock being at work, being present at an airport, and not with my family. They should at least be compensating me from being away from home instead of only compensating me for the block time in the aircraft. Next up is duty rig. Then duty rig, in that same example, now I'm at the airport for 11 hours, whether I'm at LaGuardia or DCA. The bottom line is I'm away from my family, I'm doing my job. With a duty rig at my company, it's 1 to 2. So for every 2 hours that I'm on duty, I get 1 pay credit hour. So with my example, I'm there for 11 hours or so. That's 5.5 pay credit hours at $50 an hour. That ends up being a little over $250 that I'm paid for that same day. The reason they set it up this way is so that the company is incentivized to put you in the aircraft and fly you instead of stick you in the airport and make you hang out all day waiting for that flight to come in 6 or 7 hours. Next up is block or better. So if we're operating out of LaGuardia to DC, and then weather starts rolling into DC, we go into a hold for 30 minutes, realize that we can't hold any longer, we need to go to our alternate of Philadelphia, and that entire trip takes us now 2 hours. When we get to Philadelphia, do we only get paid for the 1 hour leg going to DC? That's what we were hired to do that day, right? Well, no, with block or better, you're paid for either the block time, which was an hour from LaGuardia to DC, or you're paid for whatever you actually flew over that. If you flew under that, say everything lined up just right, the stars were aligned, you departed out of LaGuardia and got to DC in 45 minutes, you're still paid for your block time. There are some airlines that don't have this, and one of them has a pretty nasty reputation for flying slowly because if they get there under the block time, they're not paid for the full block time. After that, we'll talk about cancellation pay. What happens when you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you notice that somebody has sent you a message saying that your 3 flights the next day have been canceled? You're going to be deadheaded somewhere else to operate out of another airport and pick up your last flight. If you had a 6-hour day and that last flight is an hour and a half, are you only going to get paid for an hour and a half? Depending on the company you're at, that cancellation pay could be a little bit differently. Specifically for my company, it's leg by leg cancellation. So what they do is they take the block time for each of those legs. This happened to me last week. All 3 of those legs, they take the scheduled block time, and I am still paid for that. So if it was a total of 4.5 hours that were canceled, I get paid 4.5 hours. When we got to when our deadhead was finished, we now get paid to operate that last hour and a half. So I'm still pay protected to get the 6 hours that I was scheduled for that day, even though they canceled 4.5 hours worth of flying for me. We brought up deadhead. Well, would it be fair to put you on 3 different planes to transport you from Miami to DC to Kansas City to fly to Detroit so you can operate a flight out of Detroit going to Chicago? That's 4 legs that you're on and you're only flying one of them and you're only getting paid for one of them. So deadhead pay, depending on the company, can pay at 50% of the block time for that leg, or it can pay for 75% or 100%. It just depends on which company you're at. But you're going to be paid your hourly rate for sitting in the back of the aircraft and watching Netflix while somebody else takes you to the next place so you can get on a plane and fly it somewhere. While you're away from base, you're also paid a per diem. Now, per diem is similar to the Army if you were in the Army, but instead of being paid on a daily basis, it's paid on an hourly basis. From the time you block out from your base to the time you block back in at the end of your trip, whether it's a one-day trip out and back, a 2-day trip, 3-day trip, or a 4-day trip, you're going to be paid a per diem of usually somewhere between $1.75 and $2.10 an hour. Finally, we have at my company holiday pay. Not every company does this, but there's 7 or 8 different holidays throughout the year where if you work that day, you're paid for what you fly that day, as well as your cancellation pay, your duty rig pay, your deadhead pay, whatever it is that you're operating on. But in addition to that, you get an additional min-day pay. So you're adding 4 hours and 12 minutes of credit on top of whatever you flew and operated that day. At my company, that's New Year's Day, the Super Bowl Sunday, Easter, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Day. It's only about 7 or 8 days. You're not getting a 4-day weekend out of it, but you're getting a little bit of extra compensation for having to work on those days. I hope this helps explain a lot of how min-day pay, duty rig, blocker better, deadhead pay, or cancellation pay work, what the per diem looks like because it's paid hourly for time away from base, and how holiday pay works. These soft pays can make or break how easy it is to make pretty decent money without having to work too terribly hard. Keep that in mind, and good luck to you in your transition.